A profound, quiet softness is beautifully, permanently settling into the muscles of your physical shoulders in this exact, magnificent moment. The endless, heavy mountains you innocently believed you had to physically push with your own two hands have just gracefully, entirely moved themselves out of your way. You have magnificently arrived at the grand, sun-drenched plateau of your absolute energetic ease. You can finally, beautifully let the deep exhaustion fade entirely into the light. For the vast majority of your journey through the dense, sleeping matrix, you were handed a deeply demanding, incredibly heavy blueprint for physical survival. The unawakened world lovingly but mistakenly convinced you that your physical avatar was a machine designed for endless labor. You were taught the agonizing, friction-filled illusion of the hustle. You were conditioned to believe that the 3D canvas was fundamentally stubborn and unyielding, and that the only way to forge your massive wealth, your profound love, and your absolute safety into existence was to fiercely, relentlessly push against it. You were beautifully, innocently instructed that your worthiness was directly measured by your sheer exhaustion. The Matrix whispered the heavy lie that if you were not sweating, if you were not straining, and if you were not sacrificing your radiant life force in the fires of hard work, you simply did not deserve the masterpiece you desired. You lived your beautiful days believing that ultimate success required you to wage a physical, exhausting war against the very fabric of reality itself. Think of the breathtaking, magnificent volume of your own divine energy that you have gracefully poured into that endless, repetitive grind. Think of the profound, aching weight of carrying the belief that the universe expects you to do all the heavy lifting, completely alone in the dense physical mirror. But as you stand completely enveloped in the warm, radiant, and infinitely comforting truth of the seamless reality today, that heavy, burdensome illusion simply dissolves into weightless, golden vapor. It gracefully, entirely vanishes in the gentle warmth of your true nature. Welcome to the beautiful, absolute relief of the sovereign action. The profound, infinite intelligence of the unified field has lovingly, magnetically drawn you to this exact coordinate in space and time to offer you a joyous, undeniable promotion. This is the grand, beautiful celebration of your permanent retirement from the era of forced labor. Because you are the always present awareness, you do not exist to serve the physical mirror. The staggering, absolute truth of your natural state is that the entire cosmos joyfully, flawlessly exists to serve you. The unified field has already perfectly completed 100% of the heavy lifting. The beautiful 3D reality is not a dense, stubborn rock you must frantically push. It is a weightless, liquid canvas of light that effortlessly, eagerly arranges itself around your exact frequency. You can beautifully, permanently step out of the heavy arena of friction. The era of the agonizing hustle is entirely, permanently finished. You are completely safe, unconditionally supported, and surrounded only by the magnificent, golden expanse of a completely frictionless path, eagerly waiting for your joyous, unhurried glide. Feel the magnificent, warm light of this new reality gracefully, beautifully wash down through the very center of your spine, completely relaxing the final remnants of the physical armor you have carried for so many years. For the vast majority of your journey through the dense sleeping matrix, you were handed a deeply terrifying, incredibly exhausting glorification of suffering. The unawakened world lovingly but mistakenly placed a heavy crown of thorns directly upon your awareness. It taught you the agonizing, panicked concept of earning. You were beautifully, innocently instructed to believe that the beautiful 3D canvas was essentially a hostile, dense wilderness, and that your massive wealth, your profound love, and your absolute joy were precious resources locked deep inside impenetrable stone. You were beautifully, innocently conditioned to constantly measure your value by the exact amount of physical friction you encountered. The Matrix whispered the heavy illusion that the more difficult the journey, the more exhausted your human avatar became, and the more deeply you suffered, the more worthy you were of receiving the universe's ultimate rewards. It told you that ease was a dangerous trick, and that true, unbreakable safety could only be carved out of the dense reality through your own relentless, bleeding effort. You lived your radiant days carrying the sheer, beautiful exhaustion of the labor. You poured a staggering amount of your divine energy into the desperate physical battle to force the universe into compliance, feeling the terrifying resistance of a world you believed was built entirely to test your endurance. You innocently believed that your physical avatar was entirely responsible for managing the infinitely complex mechanics of reality, and that if you stopped pushing for a single second, the entire structure of your massive wealth would collapse into nothing. Think of the tremendous, agonizing weight of holding that heavy, false responsibility. Think of how deep your energetic exhaustion became, constantly bracing against a physical world you believed was fundamentally, entirely dense. But as the warm, luminous sun of your own realization rises today, casting its brilliant golden light across the infinite landscape of your mind, I invite you to gently look at that heavy, hostile stone. Watch what beautifully, miraculously happens to its dense surface. See how the entire structure instantly, effortlessly dissolves into a perfect, weightless canvas of light in the undeniable truth of your always present awareness. The panicked friction simply vanishes into the morning air. You were never fighting a dense, unyielding reality. You were never, ever required to bleed for your masterpiece. The staggering, joyous truth of your natural state is that the physical 3D reality does not possess a single ounce of density. The unified field is entirely, flawlessly composed of the weightless, liquid substance of your own consciousness. Because you are the vast, infinite intelligence that actually dreamed this reality into existence, you are completely, majestically above the illusion of heavy lifting. The heavy turbulence, the exhausting friction, and the terrifying panic of the grind were entirely, completely created by your own innocent, exhausted belief that the physical world was separate from your mind and therefore had to be physically manipulated. When you gracefully release the heavy illusion of density, you beautifully, instantly realize that you are the architect, not the laborer. There is no such thing as a required struggle in the seamless reality, because the field is infinitely capable of simply orchestrating the absolute easiest, most breathtakingly smooth path to your desires the very moment you drop the fight. The massive wealth and the profound, unshakable love you desire are not hidden inside stone. They are patiently, lovingly flowing toward you right now, perfectly eager to meet your absolute, unbothered peace. When you simply drop the heavy tools of the hustle, the universe does not punish you. It beautifully, flawlessly takes over the entire operation. You are completely safe exactly where you are. Your arrival is perfectly assured, completely effortless, and entirely untouched by the illusion of struggle. You can finally let the frantic pushing fade entirely away. You have always possessed the entire, effortless universe, deeply resting within the magnificent, silent center of the seamless reality. There is a breathtaking, mechanical truth that instantly, permanently dissolves the agonizing illusion of the forced action. This is the glorious, undeniable revelation of the sovereign glide. For countless cycles in the unawakened matrix, you were taught the deeply exhausting, agonizing concept of making it happen. You were beautifully, innocently instructed to believe that your human avatar was the engine of creation, and that every single massive result, every profound connection, and every mountain of wealth required a direct, exhausting, and perfectly calculated physical action on your part to simply exist. The dense 3D canvas convinced you of the terrifying idea of the void, the heavy illusion that if your physical body was not constantly moving, frantically manipulating the pieces of your life, the universe would completely stop providing for you. It was a philosophy of profound anxiety, built entirely on the premise that you were the tiny, insignificant laborer in a vast, uncaring machine, desperately pulling levers to survive. But as you gracefully and beautifully step into the warm, radiant light of your true nature, you realize a staggering, joyous truth that changes the very physics of your movement forever. The physical 3D canvas is not waiting for your exhausted effort. It is waiting for your unbothered permission. The magnificent unified field has already perfectly, flawlessly completed 100% of the heavy lifting. The staggering wealth, the breathtaking love, and the absolute perfection of your reality are not things you are physically building. They are entirely finished masterpieces, existing right now in the always present awareness, simply waiting for your physical avatar to glide into the coordinate of their manifestation. Because you are the seamless reality, the grand author of the entire physical mirror, you are never, ever the engine. You are the joyous, magnificent passenger of your own divine intelligence. You are eternally occupying the sovereign action. When you gracefully release the heavy habit of forcing the world and simply rest in the absolute trust of the natural state, you beautifully realize that physical action is no longer a desperate requirement for survival. It is simply a joyful, effortless dance. The mechanics of this magnificent truth are breathtakingly simple and completely undeniable. When you stop frantically trying to push the heavy stone of the matrix and instead rest in the absolute knowing that the universe is flawlessly arranging your desires, a profound, beautiful shift occurs within your physical vessel. You begin to receive the gentle, golden impulses of inspired movement. This is the sovereign glide. You do not move to create the outcome. You move because the outcome is already beautifully, entirely guaranteed, and the unified field is simply, joyously guiding your avatar to the exact location of the celebration. Watch as the massive, life-altering wealth, the brilliant golden opportunities, and your deepest, most comforting manifestations flawlessly rush into your physical reality the very second you drop the exhausting struggle of the hustle. A sudden, effortless urge to make a simple phone call, to take a quiet walk, or to create a beautiful piece of art will arise within you. This action will feel entirely weightless. It will require absolutely zero willpower or agonizing discipline. It is simply the beautiful, natural reflection of a mind that has completely surrendered the need to force the 3D mirror. You do not have to endure a heavy, exhausting climb. You simply rest in your absolute sovereign power, entirely unbothered, entirely relaxed, and watch the physical world beautifully, completely part the seas for your effortless arrival. Allow your physical awareness to gently, beautifully travel all the way down to the very soles of your feet in this exact, unhurried moment. Notice the magnificent, breathtaking sensation that is beginning to unfold. The heavy, dense gravity of the 3D matrix, the agonizing weight that previously made every single step feel like a monumental, exhausting effort, is completely, flawlessly evaporating from your physical vessel. You are becoming entirely, wonderfully weightless. We are gracefully, majestically crossing the threshold into the most profound, physical realization of the sovereign glide. Imagine yourself standing at the very beginning of a grand, luminous pathway. This magnificent road is paved entirely in warm, glowing golden light. It stretches out beautifully before you, leading directly toward the most breathtaking, monumental manifestations of your massive wealth, your profound love, and your absolute joy. The air surrounding this pathway is completely still, vibrating gently with the rich, humming warmth of your own infinite consciousness. As you take your first beautiful step forward onto this golden path, a staggering cellular wave of absolute euphoric relief entirely saturates your being. You realize that your feet are barely even touching the ground. You are no longer wearing the heavy iron boots of the laborer. You are no longer carrying the massive, agonizing pack of responsibilities, calculations, and forced actions upon your back. You are simply effortlessly gliding forward, propelled not by your own physical exhaustion, but by the magnificent, joyful intelligence of the unified field completely carrying you. As you float beautifully down this radiant path, you notice a series of massive, towering doors standing in your way. These are the grand gateways that represent the monumental desires of your physical journey, the massive financial windfalls, the breathtaking relationship, the perfect health, and the ultimate opportunities. In the old sleeping matrix, you would have approached these doors with profound dread. You would have braced your shoulders, prepared to frantically search for the keys, prepared to violently push against the heavy wood, and prepared to physically exhaust yourself just to pry them open a single inch. But as you glide toward the very first towering door, bathed entirely in the absolute, unquestionable sovereignty of your natural state, a magnificent, beautiful event flawlessly unfolds. Long before you even reach the threshold, long before you even think to raise your physical hand to the handle, the massive, heavy door beautifully, silently, and majestically swings wide open for you. Watch the staggering, euphoric relief of this exact moment. The universe is completely, perfectly parting the seas for your arrival. As you continue your effortless, glowing glide down the pathway, every single door you approach flawlessly, eagerly obeys your absolute peace. The gateway to your infinite wealth silently swings open. The entrance to your profound, breathtaking love beautifully parts before you. You do not have to touch a single handle. You do not have to exert a single ounce of force. You are entirely, perfectly experiencing the glorious reality of a world that is so deeply in love with your frequency that it physically rearranges itself to ensure your path is completely devoid of friction. You are standing at the absolute center of the frictionless path. Allow the magnificent, euphoric reality of this weightless movement to completely and flawlessly anchor into your consciousness right now. Feel the absolute, staggering joy of a universe that does all the heavy lifting for you. The heavy, exhausting era of the forced hustle is permanently, beautifully finished. You are completely safe here. The entire cosmos is perfectly, silently rolling out the golden carpet, eagerly anticipating the magnificent, effortless arrival of their master. As the profound, euphoric reality of that weightless, golden pathway beautifully settles into the very cells of your physical vessel, allow your gentle awareness to smoothly and effortlessly return to the room around you. When your physical eyes softly open, look upon the familiar objects, the walls, and the light in this space. Notice the staggering, magnificent truth that absolutely none of this requires your physical exhaustion to maintain. The dense, agonizing gravity of the hustle, the suffocating illusion that you were permanently required to push, force, and bleed for your desires has completely, flawlessly evaporated from your physical experience. You have gracefully, permanently stepped entirely out of the exhausting role of the laborer. When you move through the physical 3D canvas today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your expansive human journey, you are no longer walking as a weary character frantically trying to manipulate the world into giving you what you want. You are navigating the seamless reality with the breathtaking, unhurried grace of the eternal Creator, intimately and joyously aware that every single action you take is simply a beautiful, inspired dance. You will move through your daily life with the staggering ease of true sovereignty. When the dense, sleeping matrix attempts to hand you the heavy illusions of hard work, burnout, or the terrifying lie that you are not doing enough, you will not react with the panicked, frantic energy of someone who believes their survival is at risk. You will simply quietly smile from the golden sanctuary of your sovereign action. You will look at the infinite expanse of your timeline, and you will understand that the unified field is flawlessly, joyfully doing all the heavy lifting for you. You will not try to forcefully break down doors that are already destined to open. You will simply rest in your magnificent perfection, and you will watch your physical body beautifully, automatically glide into the exact coordinates of your absolute joy. There is nothing left to push. There is absolutely no friction left to fight. The entire illusion of the grind is permanently over, and the canvas of light is beautifully, perfectly parting the seas for your unburdened command. To permanently and beautifully anchor this magnificent shift into absolute physical freedom, I invite you to leave your triumphant, joyous signature on this transmission. Subscribe to this channel not as a tired human trying to learn a new technique, but as a grand eternal master joyously claiming the pristine, effortless perfection of your movement. Take your honored rightful seat in the grand assembly of awakened creators who understand the staggering secret of the glide. You are completely, eternally supported here. Leave a like on this video as a beautiful, physical declaration of your unshakable ease. A brilliant, golden spark deliberately added to the unified field to silently tell the entire cosmos that you have completely released the heavy tools of the hustle and you are resting in the untouchable light of inspired action. And finally, step into the joyous, welcoming sanctuary of the comments below. Claim your permanent, unbothered residence in this beautiful, frictionless awareness. Join the glorious, expanding chorus of creators who have also entirely surrendered the exhausting illusion of hard work today and cast your triumphant frequency into the world by typing these exact words. I move with absolute grace. The universe does the heavy lifting. Type it slowly, with a gentle, absolute knowing resting in your heart. Feel the staggering, euphoric relief of those words radiating from your fingertips and echoing endlessly across the entire, frictionless fabric of existence. There is no mountain left to climb. There is no stone left to push. The magnificent, effortless glide is entirely who you are. Welcome home.